Okay, good morning everyone. I'm Peter Zanoni, the city manager for the city of Corpus Christi. And we are here today at Lake Corpus Christi to acknowledge a milestone in the lake's elevation. And so through late yesterday and through the evening and then again this morning, the reading on the lake, meaning the elevation of the lake, shows that it's at 9.9% capacity, impounded water capacity. So the elevation's at 9.9%, which doesn't trigger anything in terms of our drought contingency plan. It doesn't trigger any emergency. It doesn't really trigger any change in what we're doing in Corpus Christi water. But it is a notable milestone, and we know the community is closely watching the lake as a barometer of how we're getting through this drought. And so we wanted to be here today just to acknowledge this and talk more about what we're doing to mitigate what we see behind us, which is a declining reservoir. And so let me begin, let me tell you first though, historically, this lake has never been this low. The lake was impounded or created with the dam that you can see behind me in 1958, and it has never been this low before. So from a perspective of the lake itself and the dam, is somewhat of a moment in time to acknowledge. The last time it was low was in 2012, and that was nearly 13% elevation before it rebounded with rains. So we have known that this lake, the region has known that this lake has been declining, as well as the other one in our west, which is known as Choke Canyon. The result of the decline is from a gripping drought that will probably be the drought of record for our region. This drought has been sustained now for 5 years. It's a long drought. That means that we have had no meaningful inflows into this reservoir in Choke Canyon for 5 years. So it's important to point out, we might forget that from time to time. Recognizing this 3 years ago, the city switched or put a plan together and activated it to switch our reliance on the western reservoirs. We've switched our reliance from Choke Canyon and Lake Corpus Christi, which in the good times provided 70% of our water. And we switched that reliance to our eastern sources, which is Lake Texana and the Lower Colorado River. We just didn't turn a switch on, though, to do that. We have invested $20 million, in part with the help of the state through Representative Villalobos, who in this last biennium secured $16 million for this project. And so we invested $20 million into the Mary Roads pipeline so that for the first time ever in its history, we could deliver the maximum amount of water through that pipeline. And today it's flowing at about 70 million gallons a day. And that has essentially replaced what used to come out from these reservoirs behind me. So our plan to keep our region safe in terms of water security began many years ago, and it's continuing. So that was step one. I also want to highlight today that this city council, this exact city council that's sitting with us today, has taken monumental and historic votes to bring on an additional 76 million gallons of water with an investment of $1 billion. These are tremendous decisions and policy votes that the council has taken. They're historic and they're generational, and they're not temporary. Water will be used intermittently, but it'll be a reliable source that we can use either full-time or intermittently from this point forward. So those projects are going to help us get us through the remainder of this drought. And so I want to highlight those here this morning. It includes 3 groundwater projects in Nueces County, 1 groundwater project in San Patricio County, and an effluent reuse project in our hometown, where we will use 16 million gallons of what was discharged effluent water. And so about a year ago, our eastern well field, known as our eastern well field in Nueces County, came online. We began discharging over 1 million gallons of water back then, about a year ago, into the Nueces River as the conveyance system to our own Stevens treatment plant. That well field at full permitting will allow us to discharge 10 million gallons of water into our system. Today we're doing about 3 to 4 million, and we're working with TCEQ to improve the permit so we can do the full 10 million soon. Next to that well field, we have our western well field that is about halfway complete in terms of drilling 12 wells. By the end of April, the entire well field with 12 wells will be ready to discharge water into the river. It's the same conveyance system. And that'll produce 17 million gallons of water that we can rely on. It'll flow through the Nueces River to our Owen Stevens treatment plant and will serve the region. City Council recently approved a third Nueces County groundwater project. We call it the ERF well field, ERF well field. That well field will produce 9 million gallons of water that similarly will be discharged into the Nueces River and then treated at Owen Stevens. That project is underway right now. One well is drilled. The drillers are there today drilling the remaining 5. And we expect that that project will be fully operational by the end of April as well. So those are our 3 projects in Nueces County. We also are working on what we know as the Evangeline project in San Patricio County. Even though the permits are moving a little slower than what we anticipated, our design firm of record and our contractor of record are busy every day designing the project and ordering equipment, procuring drillers, and that project we expect will move forward. We anticipate 4 million gallons of water coming online beginning in November of this year, with 12 million about 6 months after that point, and then the full 24 million within the next 2 years. So those are our 4 groundwater projects. We also know we have about a 2-year or less, hopefully less than 2-year effluent reuse project, where we will be, instead of discharging 16 million of treated wastewater, we will be conveying that to some of our industrial partners who will use it in their refining processes. That'll free up 16 million in fresh water. And so in total, those 5 projects equate to 76 million gallons of water, far surpassing what we would get out of the lake behind me in Choke Canyon, even in the good times, and with a total price tag of $1 billion. Now, the issue of seawater desalination is still very much on the table, and I think this drought and even today's historic moment demonstrates that we have got to do that project, one of them, or 2 of them, or all of them. We have 3 projects we're working on with this city council and the region and partners like the Nueces River Authority. And so we know we have the Inner Harbor desalination project, the fully permitted project in our ship channel. We know that this city council and another historic vote has allocated $2.7 million to Nueces River Authority for the Harbor Island desalination plant, which is estimated to produce 100 million gallons of water. And then we're working with CPS Energy of San Antonio at the Barney Davis site, and in the coming council meetings we'll do a resolution to direct staff to work with them to potentially develop the business model of what a project could look like there. So those are 3 seawater desalination projects, and I think this city council is committed. I'm committed. We have to be committed as a region to 1 or more of those because we know groundwater, while a reliable source, can't be used every day, every week, every month. It has to be intermittent. We know that farmers and ranchers and persons that have livelihoods on estates in the country rely on that water as well. And so that's why seawater desalination has got to be a source of water to carry us forward into the future, so that one day we're never here again on the banks of this river talking about declining lake levels, because we'll have that seawater desalination that can be used. And we know that water source is the only one that is uninterruptible and doesn't get affected by droughts. So that is the story today, which is that while our lake behind me is at a historic low, we want to acknowledge that and tell the community with confidence that we have 76 million gallons of water coming online. That's already online. Some of it's been online for as long as a year ago, and we're bringing more through all the approved projects that City Council has done in this past year. Historic votes, generational and monumental votes that they take, so we need to thank the City Council. Over the past year, we've been working on those projects, and we have a draft contingency plan, or a draft plan should we fall short on delivering the water to stave off what could be a condition where supply doesn't meet demand. We know that to be curtailment. We talk about that as curtailment in our community. And we have an initial plan that was approved over a year ago by the City Council. And so now that we've approved all the projects that we could possibly take to City Council. We have worked tirelessly over the past months to bring everything that we could humanly and possibly do to forego what could be this supply demand issue. Now we're going to focus with the City Council and the region on being prepared in case supply doesn't meet demand. We're not saying that's going to happen, but as a smart region, we want to make sure we're prepared. And so beginning this month, and it'll go into March and April and May, we need to have some what may be tough conversations with the community to be prepared, just like we are when a hurricane is fast approaching. This community and this region does a tremendous job in being prepared for hurricanes. We need to be the same way here for this water situation. And so we're going to be working with City Council at each of our council meetings going forward. We'll be talking about what does curtailment mean, what impact does it have on industry, what impact does it have on our residential customers, on our commercial accounts, what impact does it have to the region, because we know Corpus Christi Water is a regional water supplier. And so cities like Portland and Robstown even, and Odom and Taft and Ingleside, all those communities we have to help. And so we're going to have conversations with the community so that we are prepared. We are going to improve and develop more what is known as curtailment, and have those conversations just so we're ready. I'm not ready to say we're going to get there yet because I have confidence in the city team. I have confidence in our City Council. I have confidence in the contractors and all our partners that are working with us. And I think we're going to get through this, which will be a drought of record. That's without any doubt. We're working hard to get through it. But in case we don't, we got to be prepared. So that's the other conversation coming. The last thing I want to say is that we're the city of Corpus Christi, but Corpus Christi Water, which is one of our biggest operations, is a regional operation. And so we provide water to 7 different counties, which is unusual. Usually a water district just provides water to 1 or 2 entities, but we provide water to 7 counties. I believe it's over 20 cities, if I'm not mistaken, 20 communities and cities that rely on us. I think it's actually 24 for water. And we're working with them as well through this drought, and they know that. We are meeting with city councils across the region. We've done it twice already, I believe, and we'll be meeting with city councils again in March and April to carry the message to them that we have confidence in what we're doing. In our region here, this drought is impacting and will impact first the community of Three Rivers, who is the furthest upstream by Choke Canyon. And the estimates on when that reservoir will run out of water is the first to run out if we don't get any rain. And so we're going to be meeting with them next week. We've had some preliminary conversations with the community of Three Rivers. We know that Mathis, that is not too far from here, is engaged with us. We have an agreement with Mathis and Beeville and Alice and Corpus to mutually help each other out. They're in the process of drilling additional wells themselves. So we're working with those 3 communities. We're working with Robstown, Texas, even though they're not a customer of ours. I met personally with their executive director this week to tell them we're going to help you out and we're going to do what you were going to do quicker. We're going to do it within 30 days so that Robstown residents and customers, commercial customers, have high quality water. And so that's a pledge we made. That demonstrates that even though Robstown is not a customer of ours, we care about this region, and we're going to help out whoever we have to help out to get past this drought. And then some of our smaller communities down along the bay, like Rockport and Ingleside by the bay, Portland even, and all the communities in San Patricio County who ultimately get their water from us, we're working with them as well to, at a minimum, make sure they have good information so that we can alleviate fears in the community as this drought grips the region. So that is work that we're doing as well. That's a summary of why we wanted to be here today. The message is that, yes, the lake is now at a historic low, but we're at a historic high in terms of bringing on more projects to this community. They're underway. We're working with state agencies to expedite bringing on the water, agencies like TCEQ, Texas Water Development Board. We're working with our state delegation, including Representative and Chairman Todd Hunter, Adam Hinojosa, Chewy Hinojosa, Denise Villalobos. They are working tirelessly at the state level for expediency and state agency processing of our permits and for funding. And we're working with the federal government. We're working with our representatives and senators. I want to highlight U.S. Congressman Michael Cloud, who's been working with us for 3 years on funding for our Inner Harbor desalination project. And so those are just examples of how this is everybody together. We know what's going on here in this region. They do. And so we're all pulling together to get through this drought of record. And so that's the message today. I do want to just finally end by saying, again, we want the community to have confidence in us. We have confidence in what we're doing. This is no time to panic. It's no time to be afraid. We're working hard. We have confidence. And every day we get up, even if it's the weekend, knowing that we're one day closer to getting past this drought and providing more water for our region. So we want to thank the media for being here today, right here on the banks of Lake Corpus Christi. And I'll be available, and the team will too, if there's any questions that you might have. Thank you. Okay. Did you get anything? Yes, sir.
We are ready for you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, thanks
Michael
for having us.
sleeping
I know. I'd call him. I go, I just want to make sure you're not showing up too, because you'd be extra credit like that.
Yeah,
He's like, no, I'm not.
He was mad. I said, he's like, I have to go up there. I'm like, yep, come on up.
He's a little diva. He's
Yeah.
our little water diva.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've never been out here, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. I wanted to come out I was just going to come up by myself.
And you were like-
we were going to just do a video, and then some people found out we were coming up. So,
Then it looks sketchy,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, all right, everyone come.
I mean, it's pretty important, just
Yeah.
to be here to.
Yeah.
Hopefully this won't happen again, but
And to see it. I think you have
Yeah.
to see it to
Yeah.
understand.
there's still a lot. There's enough supply for like late fall.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my main
Yeah,
questions.
I should have mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, last name, title?
Okay, Peter Zanoni, City Manager for the City of Corpus Christi.
Great, yeah, let's just talk about what you just mentioned.
Right.
We're behind Lake Corpus Christi. It fell to 9.9.
Right.
The first thing we want to know is, are we at risk of that water emergency that we've been chatting about?
Right, yeah, so today's drop to 9.9% does not trigger any emergency, doesn't trigger anything in our drought contingency plan. We're just here to mark the moment. We know the community's following this, and we don't want to be silent, so we want to say, yes, the lake has dropped to 9.9%, but it doesn't trigger any emergency, doesn't trigger any stage and water use. What it does do is remind us that the 76 million gallons of additional water that we're bringing on through $1 billion of approved city council projects, that's what's going to get us through the fact that this lake is dropping.
And you mentioned right now with what you have, if we didn't have any other projects, we've got 6 months of reserves out there?
Yeah, so one of the we're developing a best case. Well, we have a best case. We're developing a midline case and a worst case. So the best case scenario that assumes some level of rain has this lake here going through about the early fall before it's completely down to 1% essentially, or completely empty. So while it looks maybe shallow, there's still a large volume of water. We're using less each day because we're using more from our eastern sources. And so there's the lower use of this reservoir in Choke Canyon ahead of it. If we use it at the pace we're using today, early fall is when it would be depleted.
Great, and then like you said, you have these 3 new projects that have been in place for a year. That can be confusing to me a little bit. Talk about how, for us who don't know that's already been in the works, and that's why it's slowing.
Right, yeah, so the City Council has approved, as I mentioned, 4 groundwater projects and 1 effluent reuse project. They total $1 billion of investment of permanent projects that can be intermittent in their use. That includes 3 groundwater projects in Nueces County and 1 in San Patricio County. We have a well field right now in Nueces County that has 8 wells drilled, and we're discharging 3 to 4 million gallons of water a day into the river, the Nueces River, as a conveyance system. A second well field will be done by the end of April. That'll bring on another 17 million gallons. And then an adjoining well field next to it on the ERF property will bring on an additional 9 million gallons of water. That is on top of the 24 million over the next 2 years that we will hope to be bringing on from the Evangeline project in San Patricio County.
Gotcha. Only two more questions.
Sure.
You mentioned you're working closely with the communities. Three
Right.
Rivers would be the first to lose
Yeah,
water.
so if you look at our system of Choke Canyon and then Lake Corpus Christi along that path, there's takeoff points for various communities, and so Three Rivers has the first takeoff, and as the water declines at the head of the system, they would be the first to be impacted. And so we'll be meeting with them next week to talk about strategies where we can help them because they're not connected to our system. And so additional water supplies through things like groundwater wells is something they might have to look into. We're going to tell them, and we already have, but we're going to meet with them next week to tell them that we're here to help them with technical expertise, funding applications, that type of thing. So you got Three Rivers. Mathis would be next to be impacted. Beeville is another community that is first to be impacted based on the placement of their intake structures. And so we're working with them to help them bring on additional water supplies as well. And we care about the entire region, so all of our cities, there's about 24 of them in communities. We're going to make sure that they have the water they need for their industrial purposes or their residential or commercial purposes.
Lastly, there's this 11 a.m. meeting. Are you allowed to tell us what that's about?
Today at 11 a.m. So today we have a Farfield meeting, and thank you for asking because it is open to the public. We've made a change. The first one we didn't have a public access, but hearing from the community, we've changed that. And so that is our second of many meetings that we'll have with the Community Advisory Group of now 19 members. And they are going to work with one or two far-field modelers to study the impacts of having a desalination facility on the bay, to see the science and hopefully demonstrate to them what we believe in, which is that a desalination facility on the ship channel will not have a negative impact on the bay. But they're going to make up their own opinion and advise the city and city council because we know that's one of the locations for a future desalination plant. That's the only one that's fully permitted. So having that far-field modeling done, which essentially is a review of the bay to see does the desal facility negatively impact it or not, and that's what essentially the far-field model will tell.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
We
good.
appreciate you
Thank you.
very much.